Hi, I'm Diane Gerdes. It is February 16th, 2011. I am with the Mortgage Advantage. Today I'm going to talk about Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. Goodbye, Fannie Freddie. Hello, Wall Street. Talks are underway to demolish our $11 trillion mortgage industry by turning over the reins to Fannie and Freddie to the private sector. Uncle Sam's battered pocketbook just can't take it anymore. Fannie Mae was established in 1938 during the throes of the Great Depression in order to revitalize the battered housing market. Freddie Mac was established in 1970 with a similar charter. Fannie and Freddie, they buy loans from the banks and lenders, and they buy the loans and then the banks, so that the banks and lenders can continue to lend for another day. Of course, the banks and lenders have to follow Fannie and Freddie's guidelines before they are eligible for purchase. Now it's come that they will want the loss of Fannie and Freddie due to the past sins have become so insurmountable that our government is looking for ways to get rid of it. And one of the suggestions is to give it back to the private sector or to the banks and lenders. That's right, boys and girls, the very same entities that caused the mortgage meltdown to begin with. In 2004, Bear Stearns actively solicited its subprime loans. 100% financing, 480 credit scores, for investment properties, primary properties, it didn't matter. And okay, the 480 credit scores may be a bit of an exaggeration, but you get the drift. Then, what could possibly go wrong? Well, the housing market crashed and they ended up being bought at a fire sale by JP Morgan Chase. But of course, as you know, the Feds got involved in that to make that happen. Countrywide jumped on the loosey-goosey wagon. Need a loan? You're a felon in prison? No problem. We'll just use a P.O. box for an address. The wall-hungry Wall Street was hungry for mortgages. They could not get enough, and everyone was all too happy to feed the monster. Wall Street and our government forced Fannie and Freddie to change their guidelines so that they could be part of this cash party. On the other hand, their wallflower sister, FHA, stood in the background, didn't change their underwriting. By the way, their underwriting guidelines, at least the core of it, hasn't been changed at all. Where in anybody's world does it make sense to turn over the reins to our housing market to the same entities that caused this to begin with? What happened to common sense? Where is our memories? Here's a suggestion. Why doesn't Fannie and Freddie make the banks responsible for the bad loans? Don't let the banks blame it on their mother or their investors or their CEOs. Refuse to buy the bad loans. Refuse to give them any more money for mortgages unless they fulfill their promise to Fannie and Freddie on these loans. Let them take the responsibility and make it effective today. Thanks so much.